Hi, I'm Dr. Monique Antoinette Guishard, full professor of psychology, BCC alumna class of 1999.
I am Melissa Coss-Aquino, a professor in the English department at Bronx Community College and a lifelong resident of the Bronx. And what I want to share with you today is my experience as a first generation college graduate, becoming a college professor.
My name is Vanessa Taylor-O'Connor. I am a first generation college student, a first generation professional, and a first generation faculty. And I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I'm so very, very, very proud.
What inspired me to go to college? I wish that weren't my answer, but escaping poverty. I am the granddaughter of a university janitor. I am the daughter of a domestic worker. So my mom made a living by like laundering wealthy people's clothes and sometimes their hair.
The reason I went to college at all, I was the first person in my family to do so, was my father. My father, who had dropped out of high school in the ninth grade, and had really struggled academically, but was very intellectual. He sort of was pushing me from very early on to think about what it would mean to go to college and figure it out for all of us. This was something he used to like to say a lot. Go in there and figure it out, figure out what they're doing, figure out what happens after, figure out it'll inspire your brothers and sisters. He was very forward thinking about what the impact would be. The other inspiration were my teachers, especially in high school, who just kept inspiring me and saying, you would really do well in college. You should really try to go to college.
My mother left school at 13 years old because she had to help her grandparents at home, and my father left school much younger. And when I went to high school, the vice principal pulled me aside just after graduation, and she said, "You know why I was so hard on you? You know why I watched you so closely? It's because your mother used to help me with math, and she didn't have a chance to go forward in her education. I am very certain that my mother could have been a brilliant lawyer, but she never had the chance. So when I went to college, I knew that I was carrying all their hopes and dreams. But I think that when I was in college, I didn't quite realize that until graduation day when they all came and I saw the joy on their faces. And I realized this wasn't just for me. And so after me, my nieces have all gone to college. And that is such a very proud thing.
In terms of the challenges I faced as a student at BCC, um, more poverty. I remember filling out my financial aid and having to prove that I was like living for real on less than $10,000 a year. I luckily um, got the notice of some wonderful professors like Howard Harris, may he rest in power, like Howard Balter. And very quickly, I got a research apprenticeship. And so that added to some of my stability, but definitely poverty and focusing on my studies at the same time where I had responsibilities to my family.
I will say my very first obstacle was the college guidance counselor, who did not seem to agree with my teachers, who felt that I had a profile of some family issues and some things that would make going away very difficult. And, my grades notwithstanding, I probably wouldn't do that well. So I had to kind of go the application route alone. And that was my first obstacle. That kind of prepared me for all the rest, which involved going places. I first went to Indiana. I went to Butler University, Indiana for a year. I did well academically, but socially, a campus life was not for me. I really missed New York. I really missed the facility that I had in a city where you walk a lot. I didn't drive at the time. So I came back to New York, and then the obstacles really became figuring out how to balance working, going to school, and pursuing sort of a career, even though my interesting majors were creative writing and anthropology and things that did not necessarily lead to what we understood as a career. Um, and so clearly by now, I figured a lot of things out. I am a writer, I am a professor, and I went on to pursue my later degrees at a later stage in my life after I had had my children and they had grown up.
But the thing is, first generation college students, they enter college at the 50% of entering students are first generation college students. However, they graduate at abysmally low rates. And that is because many of us don't have mentorship. We don't have those who have gone before us to show us the ropes. And for me, what I did was I connected with my college community. I went to Brooklyn College and I worked on campus. At any given point, I had a job, another job, and an internship. So I know how it is when you have a busy life and a family and everything that's going on. But because I was integrated in the campus community, I was able to use the resources.
What advice would I give to BCC students? Know who you are. Um, Remember the people kind of who are metaphorically on your shoulders and who you bring with you to academic spaces. Remember your why, right? So when times got rough, I reminded myself that I was here because I didn't want to live my mother and my grandmother's life, that I wanted to be financially stable, that I wanted to be a researcher, that I wanted to be a psychologist. And unfortunately, I encountered a little bit of racism while in attendance. Lots of presumptions about Caribbean American students and our capabilities that I encountered. But at the same time, was fortunate rather to have so many professors like just love on me and just pay attention to me and advise me and be so generous with their time and their spirit. I am not special. I am maybe the first ever Black Dominican woman full professor of psychology in BCC's 67-year history, but I'm just like you. And my expectation is that all of my students will teach at BCC shortly after graduating. I have this job because a BCC graduate, Dr. Rafael Mendez, made a point of hiring me.
So my advice to Bronx Community College students is don't worry about where you start or when you start. And don't worry about how long it's going to take to finish. Because the reality is that the time is passing anyway, and you are growing as you go along. And there are people here who want to help you. So ask for it.
Even here at BCC, there are many BCC broadcasts, many workshops, many student services that are available to you. I encourage you to use them because that is how you're going to be successful and graduate on time as a first generation college student.